It's 9 o'clock, May 7th, 2019. Time for our regular board meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call will show that all commissioners are present except for Commissioner Lensmeyer is absent today. Board, I'm going to ask you to take a look at the agenda. Are there any changes we'd like to see made in the agenda? Mike?
Just, Mr. Chair, there are 3 items that are going to be added to the highway agenda.
Okay, so we'll have those new items on Highway Department.
And Mr. Chair, I would also like on the consent just to pull item 2 and vote on it separately.
Item 2 on
Yeah.
consent.
Just
All right.
because they were here and gave a presentation, I think we should just
All right.
do it standalone.
Okay,
Otherwise, I'll move
with
the-
that, will you move the agenda with
I'll
those
move the
corrections?
agenda.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Commissioner Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item we have is the public forum. Is there anyone here interested in speaking at the public forum? Anyone wishing to speak at the public forum? Last chance to speak. If not, we'll move on then to the consent agenda. Commissioners, you have items 1 through 6 with the exception of item number 2. Let's first of all take a motion to pass those items. Any questions on those items?
I'll move those 5 items.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 2. Commissioner Notch.
Yeah, basically, item number 2 is the Direct County Attorney's Office to respond to Mary Schrammel's request from our April 9th meeting. I'll move that consent agenda item. I just felt it should be addressed as a separate item.
Okay. I have a motion to move the attorney's response to Mary Schrammel's concerns. Second to that motion, please.
I'll second.
Commissioner Mergen, discussion on that. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion passes as well. Next item we have is a public hearing considering a large gathering for breakfast on the farm.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Shelley
Good morning.
Benson, Environmental Services Director, and I do have some staff with me today, the supervisor over environmental health and one of our registered sanitarians. So I will let them introduce themselves as they go through the item.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners.
Good
I'll
morning.
begin on packet page 34, item D1. As Shelley said, this is a public hearing for the consideration of large gathering license approval for the 2019 Breakfast on the Farm. The necessity of this public hearing is due to the fact that Breakfast on the Farm moves location each year. It is slated to be held June 1st at the Mill Creek Dairy in Main Prairie Township. And with me this morning is Jane Cannon, our registered sanitarian, who's worked with the application. So if you have specific questions, I'll defer those to her. Other than that, Mr. Chair, I defer back to you to hold the public hearing.
Okay. First of all, Commissioners, any questions about breakfast on the farm? Questions? Okay, if not, I'll go ahead and I'll open the public hearing on breakfast on the farm. Anybody want to talk about breakfast? Second call. Last chance to talk about breakfast on the farm. Okay, anything else to present on that issue?
No.
Commissioners, questions at all? It's a great event, and I'm actually looking forward to it, so yeah. And the date, I believe, is 1st of June, correct?
Correct.
And location?
Mill Creek Dairy in Main Prairie Township.
Okay. And people can get information, I believe, on our website, correct?
I'm going
Is
to
it?
defer to Tom. Is it on, I don't know if it's on our website. They have their own.
If not,
website.
we will get it on our website, all right? We'll make sure, we'll get it on the website, all right? With that, Commissioners, anybody want to move that?
I'll move it.
Commissioner Mergen?
Second?
Commissioner Notch? Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let's have breakfast.
On the farm.
There you go.
That was an easy item. We like
Okay.
those.
Yes.
So the next item we have is a solid waste cleanup, and Mark is here to go through that item as well.
Yes, the second item this morning is on packet page 51, item E1. This is a request to have the county Board of Commissioners authorize the board chair to sign a resolution to allow staff to enter the property and remove the accumulated solid waste that's located on the property. The expense for this action would be collected from the property owner and through an assessment on the property owner's taxes. We did receive a complaint regarding this situation. We did send a written notice on April 5th to the owners of the property, who are the American Advisors Group out of Lansing, Michigan, and we also served notice to the occupants of the home as it is a rental. The only response we did receive was from a property management company, Single Source Property Management Solutions, asking us to delay any action due to several issues, one being the question of legality of ownership, the second, a possible foreclosure and an eviction process. Given the status of what the garbage is, household garbage, our solid waste officer, Troy Freierhammer, feels it's necessary that we go in and abate it before the critters and the sun and all the damage happens to the waste that's sitting there. So
Okay. Commissioner
Are
Murphy?
there people living in this home right now?
that's correct. Troy did drive by the property yesterday and did give me an updated photo, but the waste pile has only grown, it hasn't, nothing's happened to it, so there's a need to abate this.
Commissioners, questions?
I'll move the requested action.
A second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second, yeah, and that's something that needs to be cleaned up, no question about it, so I think we've got a pretty good idea what we want to do. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thanks for taking, those aren't the best things to bring to us, but
No,
things that we have to take care of.
necessities.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I just have a couple of miscellaneous items. One, you did ask that we have Tim Oswald come and talk about ag plastic and kind of what's happening. So I'm going to let him do that as I pass out the next piece of information.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Tim Oswald, I'm the Tri-County Solid Waste Coordinator. As you may have heard, we tried to start the ag plastic collection on April 8th. I was a little concerned with that at the time, just given the weather conditions and the spring we've had, but we did try it, and Republic Services went out and ran into all sorts of troubles. They were stuck on gravel roads. They pulled into some yards. They ended up making a bigger mess. So we decided at the time to hold off until the weather improved and conditions improved. And I'm happy to report that they were out yesterday, and everything went very smoothly. I've been getting many phone calls asking me when they're coming. People are very excited to get this stuff cleaned up, especially, with the spring planting season coming. I've continued to receive phone calls from people that have dumpsters that we were not aware of. I just got one yesterday, so that's a good news. And I'm hoping that everything goes smoothly from here on out. As long as the weather holds up and we don't have any torrential rains, we should be in good shape to get this stuff cleaned up. So.
Questions for Tim? How many dumpsters do we have out there approximately?
Right now, we're probably sitting at around 275. Revolution Plastic yesterday started delivering dumpsters to Republic's yard, because we were going to look to add about 60 more. So they started taking delivery of those dumpsters yesterday, and they will get those out to the individual farms that have requested new dumpsters. So.
And we're hoping to have regular service then on those?
Yes, we are offering every 2-month service or a semi-annual service for some of the smaller producers. So,
All right, well, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know everything I've heard has been positive. They're glad the county decided to kind of step up and keep this going.
yeah, I hope it works, because if not, I might be in trouble.
Well, I think it's a good step in the right direction, and we will be keeping a close eye on it as we progress throughout the summer. If there are need to tweak it or modify, we will look to do that, and we will keep the board appraised as any issues come up.
Right, and we pick up outside the county as well in other counties?
In Benton and Sherburne, yes.
Okay.
Just in the Tri-County area. Tim is going to be working and talking with about 41 other counties about the overall ag plastic issue and what other things can we do, how do we collaborate and coordinate to make sure that that material is being picked up in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we can develop a local option for this material to be recycled.
So within like Wright and Meeker and Pope, are they doing anything or?
Pope Douglas, they have a program similar to ours. They're much, much smaller scale than us. Wright County was looking to do something. Again, they were significantly smaller scale than us. I don't know where they stand. I did forward them all of the information and the materials that we've used so far, bids, that kind of thing. So,
Because I know there's happy cows outside of Stearns County. Not many, but I know there are some.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, the next item I have is the information that I passed out to you related to the Pope Douglas Tri-County contract. So there is a meeting coming up on the 16th. I just wanted to make sure you had this information ahead of that meeting, significantly ahead of it, so you have time to go through it. If you have questions, you can certainly call me or you can call Tim. The top piece of information is specifically from Steve Verkota from Pope Douglas, who wanted to come and provide information. I said, let's just put it in writing and give you guys the opportunity to take time to read it. And if you have questions, we will formulate those questions and be prepared for the meeting on the 16th. We will also have Jerry Von Korf from, who is the Tri-County attorney, at that meeting as well. So if you have questions, let me know or let Tim know, and we will work through that. And Commissioner Mergen, I think, might have had one other issue for us. That's all I have.
Yes. Oh, by the way, I'm in favor of keeping the meeting at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, I did have a call from Tom Shaneberg concerning license fees for just a booth at different events. And he's talking about it went from $50 to $75, then to $110. And as I understand it, what she said this morning, this has only been in effect for 5 years, but it is required by the state. And what I'd like to see is a further breakdown of the costs, because you all said it only covers about 50% of the actual county costs. And another situation I'd like for you to address is, okay, so they have about half a dozen of these food booths that are right next to each other in connection. Can there be some sort of, I mean, if you go out there, $110 for each one of them. Once you're out there, you're out there, if you take a look at them. And according to Tom, he says he hasn't seen anybody from the county out there in the last several years. So is $110 really the cost of that?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Mergen, I think it's important that you brought that up. Special event fees is something that we did add, or was on our fee schedule last year, and it did go up as it did the previous year. So there has been change. We have done a cost accounting for that. We will bring that back. We can have additional discussion as to what all goes into that fee, and I think that's important to look at. Even though our fees aren't on that fee schedule, if you have other fees or concerns, we will certainly address them, because we will make sure those get added into the public hearing, and we will work with the auditor's office to do that. So we will bring this information back so you have a complete cost accounting of that.
I'd like to see something addressed too, if you have multiple booths that are right next to each other, and they're probably 20 feet by 20 feet each one, as to something that could be adjusted, because these people, that's, you know, their first $110 of profit is gone, and then they're right next to each other. It can't cost that much once a person's out there. That's just my feeling on it.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Morgan, I think what we'll do is try to come up with some way of combining or looking at a declining rate based on numbers, something like that. I'm not sure exactly how it will
Some
look.
sort of sliding fee.
But we'll look at that, and we will bring that back as well, so that you guys will all be aware, and kind of the process that we use as we approach special event season, because it's alive and well in Stearns County, and I can share all the things that we do. So I think it's more of a complete story for you. We'll give you all the information, and then it can be addressed with the fee schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And that's all I have.
Okay. All right, good. All right, we'll go on, move on.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Public Works. Good morning, Jody.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jody Tyke, County Engineer. As mentioned before, there are 3 items in your folders that I added to the agenda. I apologize for that. My items begin on page 58 of your agenda packets. My first item is I'm asking the board to approve a cost share agreement with the City of St. Cloud for our proposed roundabout at County Roads 4 and 120. It's relatively standard for an agreement. The City Council has already approved it. I don't know if there are any questions specific to the agreement, but otherwise I'm asking the board to approve that.
I'll move that.
Okay, motion and looking for a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion, just Jody, as far as an agreement, usually typically what are with the agreements that are, is it as far as snow removal or maintenance, or what are the agreements?
This is mostly related to what they need to pay for on the construction contract and obligates the city to reimburse us as we make payments to the contractor for city-related items.
So it relates as far as the development, as far as construction?
Correct.
Okay, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Next one?
My next item on packet page 63, related to the same roundabout, is I'm asking the board to approve Stearns County Highway right-of-way plat number 57. This simplifies the right-of-way acquisition process and the legal descriptions, so we record this plat. We are purchasing all that right-of-way in fee because what we own out there is in fee. So I'm asking the board to approve this right-of-way plat.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that.
Okay, Commissioner Clark, second.
I'll second with a question.
Commissioner Notch, your question?
Have you reached agreements with everybody?
With some of them, not with all of them. However, so the plat needs to be recorded in order for us to record those parcels that we have reached agreement on. This plat does not automatically transfer the property to us, of course, but we have not reached, I believe there are 2 property owners that we're still negotiating with.
Okay. Thank you.
Jody, will we need a new plat again, or will we need a new vote?
We shouldn't. The plat is exactly what we need for right-of-way and temporary easement for this project,
So it'll either be a settlement or through eminent domain?
Correct.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
For my next item, I'm asking the board to approve and authorize final payment for Project 1152, County Road 18, which involved lowering culverts along County Road 18 in advance of our resurfacing project in order to bring them in line with the ditch cleanouts in the North Fork Crow River Watershed District. The final contract amount was under the original contract amount by $7,515.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Commissioner Notch, second by Commissioner Mergen. Any discussion on the culverts? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The culverts have passed.
Now we'll move on to the items in your folders. My first item is I'm asking the board to authorize advertising for bids for SP 073-675-039. And these are, this is intersection improvements at County Road 75 and 33rd Street South. It's a federal project, so we just got this authorization to move forward after we submitted our agenda items. I'm asking the board to approve a bid opening date of June 6, 2019.
I'll move it.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second on the Highway 75 and 33rd South. Questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
The next item is I'm asking the board to authorize advertising for bids for SP 073-070-020. This is a rural intersection lighting contract. The Contract will be funded with 90% federal funds, and the remainder will come out of our state aid funding. These are intersections that were identified in our county road safety plan. There is a map attached to the item for you, so I'm asking the board to approve a bid opening date of June 6, 2019.
So moved.
Commissioner Notch?
Second.
Commissioner Mergen? Any discussion on the lighting, the rural intersection lighting? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
My next item, I'm asking the board to award the 2019 gravel crushing contract to Tool Construction. We solicited quotes, and the low quote was Tool Construction with a total bid or quote of $42,600.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the gravel crushing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
My only miscellaneous item is just a reminder that next Tuesday, 1 week from today at 7 p.m., we have our road program public information meeting. It will be out at the Highway Department in Waite Park. People will need to come in from the south because of the construction just north of our office on County Road 75. But I did just want to remind everybody that we have that going on. And I don't know if the board has anything for me.
Yes, Jody, I guess relating to that area of the county, I've had a few questions about that. People are very concerned about that, the construction going on there. As far as letting them know, we're trying to do the best we can. We want to get that project done, but I don't know if you have any updates as far as where we are with that and how it's going.
They were going to start the concrete paving yesterday, and they're, of course, moving forward on the bituminous surfacing further west from where the concrete paving is. Certainly, we're watching the weather this week, temperatures, rain, et cetera. But other than that, they're moving along rather quickly. I know it doesn't seem like it to people who have to take that route every day or to take the detour around the north end of 28th Avenue, but the contract is proceeding actually rather quickly.
Yeah, I saw some fresh asphalt already, coming in from St. Joe, so it's looking good. So, yeah.
Mr. Chair, yeah, I was amazed at how quickly it's going, and it is a real challenge for those using it. So people figuring out the alternate routes, whether it's the 28th Avenue or if they're coming from a different part of the region, to be looking for those things, because otherwise they should plan on listening to the radio for a little while.
And I would encourage anyone out there to sign up for the project updates on our website. You'll get an email when we post a traffic update, if there's anything changing with our detours or traffic switches, anything like that. I encourage everyone to sign up for those updates so they can be among the first to know when we post an update.
And if I did that, I wouldn't have to call you, correct?
Correct.
Maybe I will
Mr. Chair,
sign
all
up.
of us should make sure we're on there. I get those, they're
Yeah.
great.
Okay.
You do have to remember to look at them.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item we'll move on to is Parks. Ben Anderson. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Good morning.
The first item that I have for you this morning is the 2018 Parks Department Annual Report. Some of these slides I will go through rather quickly since there are 40 of them. I'm going to try and keep it to 15 minutes. So if you have questions as we go, please bring them up. All right, so administrative-wise, we saw in 2018, Dwayne Merrick sat on. He was replaced by Commissioner Clark. And the park commissioners, there was no change in 2018, other in the park commissioners that were there as well. However, with staff, there was a very significant change, actually two significant changes, with the retirement of the former park director, Pete Theismann. I took his spot, and we also welcomed Sarah Weed on as the new operations coordinator for the Parks Department. The Parks Department is comprised of 7 full-time employees, 4 maintenance, and 3 administration or office. And then we also hire on 17 seasonals to help us out, essentially from Memorial Day through Labor Day. Last year, in 2018, I took over for Pete Teisman, serving as the Region 4 representative for the Greater Minnesota Regional Parks and Trails organization. And essentially what this organization is it's a group that works with lobbyists to keep funding through grants and things like that coming to Greater Minnesota. So each year we spend one day down at the Capitol going and meeting with our representatives, asking for their support in getting state dollars into outdoor recreation grant programs that are not only eligible for our regionally designated parks, but also the local parks and trails as well. In 2018, our goals for the year were to complete the design engineering for the Beaver Island Trail, install basic facilities at Oak Park in Oak Township out by New Munich, continue planning for the Kramer Lake Wildwood Access Road, assist local jurisdictions with natural resource-based programs and acquisitions, and then continue to implement the comprehensive plan, the recreation section specifically. And we'll see here shortly what we were able to accomplish of those goals. So 5-year plan accomplishments. The Lake Wobegon Trail extension into Waite Park was completed in July. We're also working on, it hasn't been fully completed yet, but an extension of the Dairyland Trail. It's going from Greenwald towards New Munich. We're not going to quite get to New Munich because there's a very big and expensive bridge that goes over the Sauk River, but we're getting really close. Just a little update on where we're at with that project. We're currently about 3/4 of the way done restoring the bridge out there, the decking out there. So we hope in July to have that section of trail open for public use. And we also put a parking lot in at Oak Township County Park. Last year, we entered into a partnership with the Great River Archery Club. Both the Park Commission and the County Board approved this partnership to build a potential indoor archery range up at Mississippi River County Park. And they are diligently working. We've entered into a few agreements. They're basically what they need now is money. So they're just starting the fundraising aspect of that now. Park Department, along with the Park Commission, reviewed 3 potential park properties, none of which any action were taken on. And then we also have interest in the Ricori Trail, as there will be a portion of that someday that'll be the county's responsibility coming from Rockville into the city of Waite Park. And as of right now, the Ricori Trail Group, they're continuing to seek funding to connect the section of trail from Cold Spring to Rockville. Here's a map that just shows where all of our county parks and our recreation trails are located. In this chart here, it shows the number of park acres, which park it is, and which district it falls in throughout the county. So we manage a little over 2,600 acres of parkland. That does include the trail corridors. So like the Lake Wobegon Trail, 65 times about 100 divided by, the 42,280 square feet. So I think that's important to note that does include our trail corridors. That's just not our county parks. And then just a graph that kind of puts a better visual to the size of the overall size of our parks. So you can see Quarry Park at 683 acres is our largest park in our system, followed by actually the Sioux Line Rail Corridor, which includes both the Dairyland. It essentially starts from Bruton and goes all the way up past Holding Ford to the county line. So that's our second largest, which is a trail corridor. So some development projects, I already mentioned this earlier, but the most significant and most exciting that we completed in 2018 was certainly the Lake Wobegon Trail extension from St. Joe into Waite Park. We're seeing great use on that section of trail. It was an awesome project. And we today actually I'm meeting with the engineer to hopefully close that project out and be completely done. So other development was the Mississippi Riverbank restoration. This was a partnership with the Soil and Water Conservation District. They actually wrote a grant to pay for the project. We did provide some in-kind labor for a match. But it was a great project. We completed it last fall. We were hoping to do it in conjunction with the drawdown, but the drawdown got pushed to this year. And surprisingly, we were a little concerned with the big ice chunks and how high the river would jump or how high it wouldn't jump this spring, but it fared very well, and we didn't see very much erosion. We still have to go back through, and we'll have to do some reseeding and repair some blanket, but overall, it fared well. So. This project was also mentioned, the Sioux Line Rail Corridor. Again, we got the gravel down. We're just looking to complete the bridge. And then we also added about a quarter-mile of trail out at Two Rivers County Park to make a loop instead of a down and back. I don't know, when I go out to parks or in trails, I hate going one way and coming back the same direction all the time. So this provided a nice little loop and actually down by the lake, a nice overlook that we hope to get an Eagle Scout someday to put a bench and such looking over the lake down by the fishing pier. Obviously, maintenance is a big portion of what we do in the Parks Department, and our goal is to maintain parks so as to be clean, safe, scenic, and functional for the public, and then also to maintain support facilities and equipment so as to perform the first goal. So park maintenance-wise, this is just kind of a breakdown of our activities and the hours that we spend. Park maintenance is activities such as like our caretakers that we have at Quarry Park, Warner Lake, and Mississippi, along with all the other parks that our other seasonal maintenance staff perform. But that's like cleaning bathrooms, brushing trails, interacting with the public, things of that nature. And then followed by general maintenance, which are things like mowing, landscaping, grounds care, signs, bridges, things like that. So the maintenance side of things certainly is where we spend most of our time within the Parks Department. Just a couple other maintenance activities to prescribe burning. Obviously, the grooming of the cross-country ski trails, which were awesome this year. And I heard the word snow for tomorrow night, so let's cross our fingers it doesn't come. Hopefully it stays further. No,
it's over. That word can't be used to the public in May.
And then the banners were a new addition on our ski trails this year, just to try and delineate out which are ski trails and which are our walking dog trails and things like that, which were very well received.
Excuse Ben, do we have any idea how much use we got out of the trails this year? I mean, compared to other years, we haven't had this much snow, and I'm just wondering about numbers. How many people actually had skied or the usage?
I don't have exact numbers, but I can tell you there was a significant uptick in our parks. I mean, we were grooming twice a week, and the trails were getting beat up like they should be. So, yeah, people were out and about and very happy. Lots of positive comments. People are really excited about finally having a good year to ski. So
good.
Yep. Some other maintenance. There's some training and some of the inspections that staff complete. A couple other maintenance projects that were completed in 2018, seal coat and crack fill the Lake Wobegon Trail from Albany to Avon. Part of that project, $25,000 was received via state federal recreational trail grant to help with that seal coating and crack fill project. Resurface gravel parking lots and roads. We had to clean out a culvert. We rebuilt the swim platform at Quarry Number 2. We replaced 2 picnic shelters down at Warner Lake County Park. And then, again, the parking lot at Oak Township. So part of our maintenance with Lake Coronis and Fairhaven Mill County Parks, they're unique in that with Lake Coronis, we actually have an agreement with Meeker County to handle all the day-to-day operations maintenance, and the Stearns County pays for half of that cost. And it's the same situation with Fairhaven Mill, except it's with Wright County, in which they take care of all the day-to-day maintenance and operational stuff, and we pay for half of that cost as well. Jump into some financial numbers. Overall, the park's 2018 property tax levy was a little over $846,000. And I just like, point out that that's less than 1% of the overall county budget. I think we do a really good job with the dollars that we have in keeping our parks maintained and up to people's standards. If we hear complaints, we jump on them right away. Overall parks budget is just a little over $1 million when you incorporate the estimated revenue that we take in throughout the year. And we do estimate a little over 500,000 people that come and use our parks annually. So that's a pretty significant number as well. Fee schedule for the picnic shelters that people can rent. We range anywhere from $60 a day to where the enclosed nature center is $125 for the first 4 hours and then $25 for every additional hour after. And the reason that one ends up being more is we do staff that when that is rented. So with a member from Greenview. 2018 was a slower year for our grant requests within the Parks Department. Mostly due to the Lake Wobegon Trail extension, making sure, that's a big project, making sure that we were doing our due diligence to track our spending and such through there. We did secure the $3,200 for the Grant and Aid Ski Trail. That's at Kramer Lake Wildwood to help with maintenance and grooming costs. And then also we did receive a $25,000 federal recreational trail grant to seal coat and crack fill from Avon to St. Joe, and that'll be completed this summer. On the bottom, I just highlight some donations. The big one from the Hopke family, the $50,000. We did order the shelter, and we are anticipating starting to construct that sometime in July this year, so that'll be going up. And then there's some others below. I would like to note, just under this donations as well, with the outdoor archery range up at Mississippi, we have yet to pay for a target up there. Donations, this will be the third summer that the donations have funded the targets at the range. So I think that shows good buy-in from the people that are using it, and it's been a good asset.
And Ben, I was by there the other day. There's even targets for broadheads now.
Yes.
So if a person wants to shoot with broadheads, you have that opportunity as well. Yeah.
Right, and that was an Eagle Scout project as well. Just jumping back to where the revenue comes from. Most of it is daily permits at Quarry Park, followed by annual permits at Quarry Park, and then our shelter rentals are kind of where the majority of our other stuff comes from. So Quarry Park is our big revenue. Is where the majority of our revenue comes through, followed by Warner Lake County Park with the two shelters. The nature center is pretty significant, along with the triathlon that happens down there as well. We get a significant portion of event fee from there. Park fund expense, personnel is our biggest expense. We have a pretty good-sized staff for our park system when it comes to the summer months. We see a lot of visitors. Some projects and the estimated costs that were expended in 2018. This chart it explains the estimated operational costs. So a couple of years ago, we implemented the maintenance connection, and this is an estimated cost, but it's a pretty good estimate in that we track all of our hours and tie that and our work and our invoices back to the parks through this system. So it does a pretty good job at tracking that. So Quarry Park is obviously one of our bigger expenses cost-wise, but the Wobegon actually did cost us a little bit more. It was the most expensive to operate and maintain in 2018. This is just a graph that shows that as well. Little deceiving in that it shows that Quarry Park is bigger, in fact, than the Lake Wobegon expenses a little bit, but. Public events. In 2018, Parks hosted 71 events with a little over with about 3,700 people that attended. Another public event, last year we celebrated the 20th anniversary of Quarry Park. We had about 350 people that showed up on a thunderstorm type of day, but we were able to get it in and people enjoyed it. We also celebrated the 20th anniversary of the Lake Wobegon Trail. The Lake Wobegon Trail Association made some signs and had some hashtag I found Lake Wobegon, like a hide and seek type game along the trail as well, which was fun. We also hosted outdoor recreational programs with some public-private partnerships with hike hoppers. Prairie Woods was a part of a Connecting People to Outdoors grant that we received a couple of years ago. We'll be ending that here in the end of June of this year. And then John and Linda Peck at Rockville, they always bring a pretty significant amount of people into our Rockville County Park and provide good outdoor recreational programming for us as well. On volunteers, in 2018, we had 176 volunteers that worked a little over 1,000 hours total. So it's a pretty significant contribution to our park system, and it's very well appreciated. Quarry Park, two unique uses we have there are rock climbing, which requires a permit. We issued almost 350 rock climbing permits last year. Some of that was due to Prairie Woods and some of their events that they hosted there as part of our Connecting People to Outdoors grant, and that they were able to bring in groups of 10 to 15 people at a time. But they provided all the equipment, and it was very well received. And then scuba diving is another thing that we offer at Quarry Park, and we issued 9 permits, none from Stearns County residents, or issued 2 Stearns County residents, but coming from, other parts of Minnesota, and we actually had 3 from out of state. So, vehicle parking permits, dailies, obviously reigned most with a little over 28,000 dailies sold last year, and almost 3,000 annual parking permits. Some comments that we receive throughout the year. We do have comment sheets out at our parks. And so we do look at those as we go around and do our park rounds, and we bring in, and most of them are good. And when they're not, we deal with the issues. So, with that, I'll take any questions, comments.
Questions for Ben?
Thanks for what you all are doing. I mean, those events that you talked about were great, and we'll once again have the Ladies Slipper and the Carmel Roll Ride coming up, and even for those of us who can't go terribly far, those are great events.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree, Carol. A lot of good things happening in the parks. Also, thanks to the volunteers that put those hours in. We appreciate their help, and hopefully, again, continue this year and next. So, yeah, excited about that archery range coming up indoors. So, yeah, a lot of good things going on. Thanks, Ben. Anything else?
Not in regards to this. I think I was just looking for a motion to accept the.
So moved.
I got a motion to accept that report. How about a second?
Second.
Commissioner Mergen, any discussion other than way to go? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
The second item I have on the agenda is the review of the Stearns County Parks 5-year plan, and this is a select number of projects that do directly relate to the county comprehensive plan, and I think it's important to note that only a select number of these projects can be accomplished within over 5 years, because they are highly dependent upon non-county funds, so state grants, federal grants, things like that to complete these. But we like to have this list because yes, we may be working hard to complete the Beaver Island Trail extension, but we may find a little pot of money somewhere else that we can check something else off the list as we go through. So the Park Commission at their March 13th meeting did unanimously support this as well. So I guess if there's questions, I can answer them.
Questions about the park plan? If not, let's have a motion.
So moved.
Commissioner Notch,
Second.
Commissioner Clark, any discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have a park plan.
All right. Very good, thank you. I do just have one quick, I wanted to update you that we did receive a $427,000 federal Transportation Alternative Program grant for the Beaver Island Trail extension. So we will be moving forward more than likely with an application, a co-application with the city of St. Cloud to try and finish their portion and our portion in one shot here. So hopefully within the next 5 years, we can get that done.
Very encouraging. Thanks, Ben. Okay. Commissioners, do we have a break scheduled on our agenda? We would take that break, or should we move on?
Depends on if Melissa is here.
Melissa Huber isn't here.
Okay, well then, let's go
This is not
ahead.
here yet.
Let's take a recess, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, we are back after our recess. We have now our Human Services Board. Melissa?
Good morning. I'm Melissa Huberty, the Human Services Administrator. And on the Human Services consent agenda this morning, we have 2 items. The first is item H1, which is on page 113 and is the joint powers agreement between Stearns, Benton, Wright, and Sherburne counties for a coalition advancing healthy families. You may recall on March 26, 2019, the board approved staff to begin planning for a joint evidence-based home visiting grant, and the 4 county attorneys have created this joint powers agreement and are in agreement. And we're looking for the board's consideration on that. As well as item H2 on page 126, and it's just the Human Services claims paid.
Okay.
So I think you need to take them separately,
That's
Mr.
what I
Chair.
was-
So I'll move the resolution.
The joint powers
The joint
agreement?
powers, sorry, yes.
Okay, I've got a motion on the joint powers agreement.
And the resolution, right, both of those.
Somebody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, Commissioner Notch, any discussion on the joint powers agreement? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. And the other one, on the claims for this period? That you made that motion?
Oh, that seems to be a separate motion, but I'll
Correct.
be happy to make that one, sure.
A second.
And a second by Commissioner Mergen. All those, or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. Okay, next item.
The 2 Human Services regular board items are 2 proclamations, and I have with me today Ms. Renee Fronddienst, who's the Division Director of the Public Health Division, and she's here to read the first proclamation declaring the week of May 19th through 25 as Emergency Medical Services Week.
So your proclamation is actually found on page 129, and so I'll go ahead and read it. This is to designate the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as Emergency Medical Services Week. And it states, whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore, in recognition of this event, Stearns County does hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as Emergency Medical Services Week.
Thank you, Renee. I'll move that proclamation.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second for that proclamation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. Next item, do you have one more item?
Mr. Chair, I have one more proclamation. This is from the Mental Health Task Force of the Human Services Advisory Committee. Has recommended that Stearns County recognize May as Mental Health Month. This is in keeping with similar issues across national and statewide efforts. The Mental Health America launched Mental Health Week, which eventually became Mental Health Month in 1949, and we would ask permission to read a proclamation that May is Mental Health Month 2019.
Go ahead.
All right. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives, and whereas prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental health conditions, and whereas there is a strong research that animal companionship, humor, spirituality, religion, recreation, social connections, and work-life balance can help all Americans protect their health and well-being, And whereas mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation, and whereas with effective treatment, those individuals with mental health and other chronic health conditions can recover and lead full, productive lives. And whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizens share the burden of mental health problems and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. We were wondering if we can proclaim May 2019 as Mental Health Month in Stearns County and call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in Stearns County, Minnesota to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions.
Thank you, Melissa. And I will move that proclamation as well.
Thank you.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Not
No?
for me.
Nothing?
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Commissioners, we now will reconvene our regular meeting, and it has us going into closed session on the labor agreement. But let's do this because we are televised and we got public perhaps watching. Let's go to issues by commissioners before we break for the closed session. Randy, do you have anything?
Just to remind people to pay their taxes before the due date.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up, right?
Good idea.
Okay, yeah, good reminder.
I have nothing, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Mergen?
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
Okay, I just have a couple of items. A reminder about the taxes, just to make a reminder about the fishing opener this weekend. It's a very important weekend for a lot of people, a lot of excitement, also cold water and things. Just to be safe out there, be courteous at the boat landings, and I hope everybody has an enjoyable opening weekend. Also, I handed out a piece on the economic development joint powers agreement. Commissioner Lenzmeyer and I were at a meeting yesterday, and we're pulling that together, and that we're looking for suggestions specifically from each county and from each commissioner about what our priorities might be. That's a list of potential priorities. By the end of the month, we're looking to have that pulled together, and so if you have suggestions, Commissioner Lenzmeyer and I will be getting together with Mike to talk about those, and then we're going to actually be meeting again in August, but prior to that time, they're going to pull those priorities together. Mike, do you have any comments about that?
Well, Mr. Chair, just as a reminder, this was the Region 7W Economic Development Authority that was created by the 4 counties. And, we went through a process and created a comprehensive economic development strategy that all the county boards approved. And that'll need to be updated on a regular basis. And really the reason that all this was done, and it took a couple of years to get it done, was so that our area can qualify for EDA grants. So the county can qualify and municipalities can qualify for EDA grants. And so from time to time, that said document is going to be needed to be updated, and we do have to have priorities that we can show the EDA so that when we apply for a grant, they know it's part of our plan. And so this is part of that work.
Okay. Yeah. And
So again, don't just, it's not necessarily just county government. You want to think about the municipalities and
okay, other opportunities as well. Okay, good. Okay. Anything else, Mike?
No, sir.
Okay. If not, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to move into a closed session. Okay, we are back from our discussion on the contract for the patrol officers. With that, Board, I'll look for a motion to approve the contract for the MNPEA patrol.
So moved.
Commissioner Clark with that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Notch with a second. Any discussion on the contract? I just want to thank staff for working on this contract, also the folks on the other side of the table. I know contract negotiations sometimes can be difficult. I was glad we didn't have to go to arbitration, so thank you all on both sides. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor to approve that contract, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We have a contract.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
That's great.
Thank you. Commissioners, anything else before we close for today? If not, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Commissioner Notch, second Commissioner Mergen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.